Morning, guys. Morning. Hello, and welcome to today's session. Today, we we're gonna have a very interesting session about adaptability and flexibility. You know, two skills we must develop in order well, to function, in order to be able to survive in this faster changing world. Okay, so this is so interesting, the things we are gonna see today um, on this session. First of all, I want to thank all of you who devote time to open and watch this video later. Um, and see the requirements and suggestions for uh, doing and submitting your evidence for this week. Okay. First of all, I want to share our is a kind of lesson plan. This is a kind of lesson plan I usually design for our online session. Okay. Well, the number of the session forum GA3 AA2 EVO3. Okay. Well, these forums has to do with some working situations, with some situations we face at work sometimes when we must change things immediately because of some unexpected situations, some unexpected moments, for instance, we have something to do. Well, we didn't plan instead of our plan A, something's change in a moment, in just a moment. So we are required to move quickly and adapt ourselves to those situations, unexpected situations. So the purpose of this forum is allowing you to share some working experiences, some moments in your work that you have faced unexpected situations and you have to adapt in order to solve the situation and to keep moving in the correct direction. So for this forum, you are required to think about an experience at work where you were flexible and adapted to a new situation or a change in the process. Something in your daily life activities, you had to change because of something, for instance, some unexpected situations, some unexpected moments. For after an accident, after a failure of the machine of the program, energy cut or something like that. So there are different situations that can force us to face and to look for solutions quickly in a very fast way. So what was the result of this experience? That's one of the answer of the questions. The second question, how did your flexibility and adaptability help you to deal with the situation? How did you work the situation out? How did you solve the situation? And the last question, would you change anything in order to deal in a better way with it? Did you change something instead of facing the situation, the unexpected situation? Would you change something? Well, so that is those questions are required for you to, to answer those questions regarding your profession, your daily life activities at work. Well, perhaps you travel to other countries, your job because of your job. So, well, in one of those moments you have traveled abroad or have traveled overseas, perhaps you face any kind of difficulties, So try to tell us about how did you solve the situation? How did you face the situation? How did you adapt to the unexpected situation? Okay, that is the topic for the forum, and these are the three questions we are required to answer. But before doing that, we are going to have a look to two videos about adaptability, okay? Two important videos that will teach us some strategies, some clues, some tips about adaptability, okay? How can we develop adaptability and how can we improve our adaptability and our flexibility in order to respond to these fast moments in society, in life we are facing these days. Okay, so let me start with this. The first video, we are going to watch the first video. Let me share the video with you guys. We are going to watch short videos. We are going to, in this one, the first one is a 16 minutes video. We are going to watch just about 8 or 10 minutes. But before that, before doing that, I want to share the link for the video. I want to share it through our chat box. Okay, the link for the first video. Okay, guys. As usual, I will turn the microphone off. Okay, in order to allow you a better quality of sound in the video. I'll be back as soon as we reach the 10 minutes in the video, okay?
Life can come in many different forms, from a microscopic bacterium to a 2,000-year-old sequoia tree, and of course, to you and me. And although there are some apparent disparities in the forms and functions of life, there are 7 unifying characteristics that all life forms share, including the ability to grow and change, the ability to maintain homeostasis, the ability to pass traits onto their offspring. But most importantly, all living organisms have the ability to adapt to their environments. And these adaptations are driven by a natural and instinctual need for survival. And this instinct to survive is what drives the actions and the behaviors of all living organisms on the planet. That is, except one. As far as we can understand, humans are actually the only living organisms that have conscious control over their actions, their behaviors, and most importantly, their adaptations. As humans, we can make decisions. We can take initiative in certain situations. We can be persistent, and we can be incredibly resourceful. And whether we recognize it or not, this idea is universal and plays a role in our everyday lives. And although we have this incredible ability to maintain conscious control over our adaptations, sometimes when we are placed in situations that force us to grapple with serious issues, we have a tendency to react and not to adapt. And there is a subtle yet significant difference between these two responses. When we react, a lot of the times it can be driven by emotion and irrationality. And if these situations could lead to dire consequences, it can lead to hopelessness. But if we adapt, if we modify our actions and our behaviors based on our circumstances, we can move forward. In order to live, we must adapt. And this is an idea that I do hold with me every single day because it has the potential to allow us to leverage our experiences, whether positive or negative, into meaningful opportunity. And this idea has led me here to share my story with you. So I was born and raised in New Hampshire in a town called Windham. Maybe you've heard of it. And in Windham and in New Hampshire, we like to live very active lifestyles. So I played outside all the time. I built a tree fort in my backyard with my dad and my brother. And this active lifestyle, you know, we had a lot of fun. So one summer night, I came in from playing and I realized that I had this acute pain right in my left ankle, right in the joint. And I was a little worried and, you know, I didn't really know what was going on. So as it persisted a couple days, I mentioned it to my parents. I knew I hadn't fallen or anything. And they said, maybe it's just Lyme disease. You know, if it's persisted, it's possible that I could have gotten a tick bite, and that's kind of a common way to get Lyme disease. Unfortunately, it proved to be a symptom, and it actually persisted over the next couple of days and weeks. The joint pain actually exacerbated itself, and it began to rotate strangely around my body. So it started in my left ankle, but then a couple of days later, it would be my right shoulder, and I would have very limited range of motion in my shoulder. And then a couple of days later, it would be in my hip, and then I would have issues walking. And then a couple of days later, it would be in my other foot. And in addition to the joint pain, I was experiencing very significant fatigue over these weeks. And at the time I was 16, I was a sophomore in high school. So this was kind of interfering with my classes. Hobbling my way from class to class was actually making me late. So I needed to get a hall pass so I wouldn't get in trouble. But as the symptoms actually persisted, I began to see a couple more doctors to figure out what was going on. And they were able to identify that this had something to do with some sort of inflammation. So in order to combat that, I was actually placed on a very high dose of steroids, which is a pretty common regimen in these situations. Unfortunately, the high dosage actually caused me to gain 40 pounds over the course of a month. And, that was about a third of my weight at the time. So that was pretty significant, as you can imagine. So after seeing a lot of different specialists and going on a couple different tests, I ended up being diagnosed with a rare autoimmune disease called Wegener's granulomatosis. So 16-year-old me had no idea what that even meant. So I looked it up and I learned that it's a disease where your immune system basically turns on you and attacks itself. Wegener's, and in that way, it actually manifests in the form of inflammation of the blood vessels of your vasculature. And this can actually restrict blood flow to many major organs, in this case, prominently in the kidneys and lungs. Wegener's only presents itself in the population in 3 out of every 100,000 people. But most interestingly, it actually only presents itself on average in an age range between 45 and 60. So it was a little strange that 16-year-old me was presenting with this disease. Most importantly, though, if Wegener's goes undiagnosed and untreated, it's fatal. So once we realized how serious this issue was, I began to see a lot of different doctors in Boston. I went on a couple of different medication regimens, including some chemotherapies. I was required to have a couple of different surgeries in order to treat the symptoms of my disease. And I saw a lot of different specialists, as I mentioned. So I saw, nephrologists, otolaryngologists, ophthalmologists, rheumatologists. You needed a guy, I had a guy. But at 16, this was causing me some pretty significant mental and physical consequences. And I would be lying if I said I wasn't really scared about what I thought this disease could mean for me and my future.
Introducing Grammarly, like you've never seen before. Your all-in-one writing essential. This.
And although I didn't have at this time in my life a big crystallizing moment as a 16-year-old, through the support of my friends and family, I came to the understanding that this was a situation in which I needed to adapt and not react. If I were to passively react to this situation, I probably would have been led down a negative path and it would have done me no good. My circumstances were outside of my control, and I needed to accept the fact that I was going to be required to adapt. I wanted to be able to leverage my experience into opportunity. And this persistence led me down a road of scientific discovery. At the time, as I mentioned, I was in high school and I was interested in science and math and engineering. So I found that there is, a bridge that existed because I was actually gaining a lot of experience in the medical field that not a lot of other people were. I was meeting with doctors pretty regularly. I was interacting with medical technology. I was having a lot of clinical experiences that not many other 16-year-olds were having. And I realized that this could be a window of opportunity for me. I could use my experience and leverage it as a patient into meaningful opportunity. I ended up looking into a new field that had been coming up in the time called biomedical engineering, where biology, medicine, and engineering collide. If I were to leverage my experience into any meaningful field, I thought this could be a great way to do it as a patient. And I could follow this in the realm of biomedical research. At the time in high school, I actually recently had done a project on this new technology where scientists were taking commercial inkjet printers off the shelf, putting in living cells to the cartridges, and then printing out living tissue constructs, which is crazy and ridiculous, right? So as soon as I heard that that was even possible, I was like, wow, this field is super cool. I want to get involved in this. So at that time, I wanted to take initiative. I wanted to turn my adaptation into action. I had a meeting with one of my doctors as a normal checkup, and I just happened to mention to him at that time, I might be looking into research. Would you happen to know anyone who is looking for some extra help? I could be an extra pair of hands in the lab. I wouldn't need to get paid, and I could get some valuable research experience. And it turned out it was really as easy as that. A week later, he responded, and I ended
Okay, well, this was the first video. Is because of a disease in a 16-year-old boy who had to adapt himself, who had to adapt to change, to move his whole life into, into a different situation. He had to move, he had to change, and he had to adapt to a new situation that was a very serious disease on him. Okay. Well, now the second video, I want to share the second video, please. This video is about, in here, we are going to see six possible ways to be more adaptable, okay? Six possible ways to adapt to unexpected situations, okay? So I want you to have a look to this. This is a 4 minutes and 44 seconds video. This is very short. Please enjoy it.
Today, I speak to you of the importance of being adaptable. In this ever-changing world, we are constantly faced with new challenges, yet it's easy to get stuck in a rut or become overwhelmed by the obstacles we face. With the right mindset of being adaptable and building the right habits, you can overcome any challenge and achieve your goals. Being adaptable means having the ability to adjust to changing circumstances and to find creative solutions to the problems you encounter. It means being flexible, resilient, and open-minded, and having the courage to step outside your comfort zone. Imagine yourself as a warrior, agile and quick-footed, able to dodge and weave through the challenges that come your way. Being adaptable is a habit that anyone can cultivate. So how can you become more adaptable in your own life? First, it begins with the willingness to embrace change, to accept that the only constant in life is change itself. The more we resist it, the more difficult it becomes to adapt. When we embrace change, we open ourselves up to new opportunities and experiences. So instead of resisting change, try to embrace it. This doesn't mean you have to love every change that comes your way, but try to approach change with an open mind and see it as an opportunity to learn and grow. Think of yourself as a monk, serene and focused, able to find peace and clarity in the midst of chaos. Second, learn to be flexible. Flexibility is key to being adaptable. It means being able to pivot when things don't go according to plan and being able to adjust your expectations and plans when circumstances change. A flexible mindset also means being able to see things from different perspectives and being open to new ideas and approaches. To be flexible is to be like a skilled dancer, able to adapt to the movements of your partner and flow seamlessly from one step to the next. Third, practice grit and resilience. Resilience is the ability to bounce back from setbacks and failures, to learn from them, and to keep moving forward. Resilient people are not afraid to take risks. and they don't let failures hold them back. They use setbacks as opportunities, and they keep going in the face of adversity. Resilience is like the phoenix rising from the ashes of its own destruction, renewed and reborn. Fourth, cultivate a growth mindset. To be adaptable is also to nurture a growth mindset, to see challenges and obstacles as chances for growth, rather than as barriers to success. A growth mindset is the belief that your abilities and intelligence can be developed through practice and dedication. A growth mindset is like a garden where each challenge is a new seed to be planted, nourished, and tended until it grows into a beautiful and bountiful plant. Fifth, seek out new experiences. One of the best ways to become more adaptable is to seek out new adventures. By exposing ourselves to new people, places, and things, we expand our horizon and build new neural pathways in our brain, making it easier to adapt to new situations. This could mean traveling to new places, trying new foods, or learning new skills. Seeking out new experiences is like venturing into a vast and wondrous forest, full of hidden treasures and unexpected dangers. With each step, we grow more confident and more adaptable, our minds expanding like the branches of the trees around us. Finally, it is important to surround yourself with positive and supportive people who inspire and motivate you to be your best self. The people you surround yourself with have a significant impact on your mindset and your ability to adapt. So try to surround yourself with people who are willing to support you in your endeavors. To be adaptable is to be like a flock of birds, soaring together on the winds of change, each supporting and encouraging the others. So think about your own life and the challenges you faced. Ask yourself, how can I apply any of these principles of adaptability to overcome my challenges? What you take action on next will determine if you achieve your goals or not. Remember, to be adaptable is to be like a tree in the wind, able to bend and sway with the changing gusts, but never breaking or losing your foundation. It is to be like a river, able to flow with the changing terrain, but always remaining true to your course. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to my channel for more motivational content. And if you have any questions or would like to connect with me further, you can reach out through my website or social media channels. I wish you all the best on your journey to success. Remember, you are not alone on this journey. Share this message with others who could benefit from it, and find more details in the description.
I am sorry I was talking with the microphone muted. But you will have the evidence available from today until next Monday, Monday 8, I think, Monday 8th, to for your participation. With you are required to tell us about any experience in your job or in your working life, yes, working life. Okay, guys, thank you for attending the session and thank you for set aside time for watching the video. Okay, guys, have a good weekend and have a good day. Okay, bye bye.